The stars looked different when they were dying. Captain Ryan Martinez stood on the bridge of the Zalani ship Serenity's Hope and watched his world burn below. Orange flames spread across the surface of Verdania like a disease. The beautiful blue-green planet that had been his home for 30 years now looked like a wounded animal. "Captain," said his communications officer, a young Zalani named Kira. Her voice shook with fear. "The Korthak ships are moving to the next city. They will reach New Haven in 2 hours." Ryan closed his eyes. New Haven was where his family lived. His wife Sarah and their 2 children had refused to leave when the attack started. They said Verdania was their home. They would not run. Now it was too late to run. The Korthak Empire had come to their peaceful star systems like a storm. The insect-like aliens were twice as tall as any Zalani, with thick armor that covered their bodies. They had 4 arms that ended in sharp claws. Their ships were dark and ugly, built only for war. The Zalani had tried to talk to them. They had offered trade agreements and scientific knowledge. The Korthak answered with plasma cannons and nuclear bombs. "Send the message again," Ryan told Kira. "To every star system we can reach." Kira's fingers moved over her control panel. The same message that had been sent 50 times already went out into space. "This is Captain Ryan Martinez of the Zalani Republic. Any civilization that can hear this message, please help us. The Korthak Empire is destroying our worlds. They kill everyone they find. We have 12 star systems with billions of people. We offer all of our technology and scientific knowledge to anyone who can send aid. Please. We are running out of time." The message traveled through hyperspace, moving faster than light. It would take weeks or months to reach the nearest star systems. The Zalani did not have weeks or months. On the planet below, Elder Counselor Zethera sat in the underground bunker that had become the government center. She was old, even for a Zalani. Her green skin had turned pale with worry. The plant-like growths on her head that showed her age had started to wilt. "Any responses to our calls for help?" she asked her aide. "None yet, Elder. The Alteran Confederation read our message but did not reply. The Silicon Collective sent an automated response saying they would consider our request. The Void Dwellers did not answer at all." Zethera was not surprised. The galaxy was full of civilized species who preferred to talk rather than fight. Most conflicts were solved with meetings and trade agreements. War was something from the old days, when species were young and angry. The Korthak were different. They did not want to talk. They wanted to conquer and control. They turned captured worlds into slave colonies where prisoners worked until they died. "Elder," said another aide, running into the room. "The Korthak have landed ground troops in Sector 7. Our defense forces cannot stop them." Through the bunker's thick walls, they could hear the sound of explosions getting closer. The Korthak ground troops looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. They carried weapons that could cut through steel. Zalani weapons barely scratched their natural armor. Far above, in the darkness of space, War Leader Thekmor stood in the command center of the Korthak flagship Death's Claw. He was larger than most of his species, with scars that told of many battles. His 4 arms moved constantly as he gave orders to his fleet. "Status report," he clicked in the harsh Korthak language. "Verdania's orbital defenses are destroyed," replied his second-in-command. "Ground forces have taken 6 major cities. The plant-eaters are retreating to underground shelters." Thekmor made a sound that was like laughter. "These Zalani are weak. They build pretty cities but cannot defend them. Their weapons are toys. Their ships run away instead of fighting. War Leader, we have intercepted several of their distress calls. They are asking other species for help." "Let them call," Thekmor said. "What species would be stupid enough to fight us for these weaklings? The galaxy knows the power of the Korthak Empire. No one will come." He was wrong. Thousands of light-years away, on a small blue planet called Earth, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Thompson sat at her monitoring station. The Deep Space Communication Center was quiet at this hour. Most of her colleagues had gone home to their families. Lisa preferred the night shift. The universe seemed more peaceful when Earth was sleeping. She could listen to the radio signals from distant stars and imagine what other civilizations were doing. That night, she heard something different. The signal was weak and broken up by interference. It had traveled a very long way. But the words were clear enough. "Please help us. We are dying." Lisa had heard distress calls before. Space was dangerous, and ships sometimes sent emergency signals when they had problems. But this was different. This was not one ship. This was an entire civilization crying out for help. She recorded the message and played it again. The voice was speaking in a language she had never heard, but the computer translated it automatically. A species called the Zalani were under attack by something called the Korthak Empire. Lisa looked at the star charts on her screen. The signal had come from a region of space that Earth had never explored. The Zalani were so far away that their light was just reaching Earth's telescopes. She thought about ignoring the message. It was not Earth's problem. The Zalani were aliens in a distant part of the galaxy. Whatever was happening to them had nothing to do with humans. But the fear in the voice made her change her mind. Lisa forwarded the message to Admiral Kevin Brooks at Terra Defense Command. She attached a note. "Admiral, you need to hear this. Someone is asking for help." Admiral Brooks was in his office, reading reports about the new ships being built in Earth's orbital shipyards. Humanity had been exploring space for only 50 years, but they were learning fast. Earth now had a small but powerful fleet of warships. He played Lisa's message and listened to the Zalani's desperate plea for help. The computer had translated it into English, but Brooks could hear the original voice underneath. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He knew what terror sounded like. Brooks called an emergency meeting of the Terran Defense Council. Within hours, the most important people in Earth's military were sitting around a table, listening to Ryan Martinez's voice asking for help. The room was quiet when the message ended. "Well?" Brooks asked. The debate had begun. The meeting room at Terra Defense Command had no windows. Admiral Kevin Brooks liked it that way. When making decisions about war and peace, he did not want to be distracted by the sight of Earth spinning peacefully below. 12 people sat around the metal table. They were the most important military leaders on Earth. Each one controlled thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. General Patricia Hayes spoke first. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice was strong. "This is not our fight, Admiral. These Zalani are strangers to us. We have never met them. We owe them nothing." "They are asking for help," said Admiral Brooks. "Does that mean nothing to you?" "Of course it means something," Hayes replied. "But we must be practical. Our ships are needed here, protecting Earth and our colonies. We cannot risk them in a war on the other side of the galaxy." Colonel Mike Thompson disagreed. He was younger than Hayes, with the kind of scars that came from real fighting. "General, with respect, we are not talking about risking our ships. We are talking about using them for what they were built for." "Which is defending Earth," Hayes said firmly. "No," said Admiral Brooks. "Our ships were built to defend humanity. And sometimes, defending humanity means stopping evil before it reaches our door." Commander Lisa Thompson, the woman who had first heard the distress call, was also at the meeting. She had been promoted that morning for her good work. Now she sat quietly, listening to the debate. "What do we know about these Korthak?" asked General Hayes. Commander Thompson opened her computer files. "Not much, General. Our long-range sensors have picked up energy signatures from their ships. They use nuclear weapons and plasma cannons. Their technology seems about equal to ours, maybe a little less advanced. Numbers? Hard to say. The Zalani messages mention hundreds of Korthak ships. But the Zalani might be exaggerating because they are scared." Admiral Brooks stood up and walked to the wall screen. It showed a map of the known galaxy. A red dot marked where the Zalani distress call had come from. "Here is what I think," he said. "The Korthak are bullies. They attack weak civilizations that cannot fight back. The Zalani are scientists and farmers, not soldiers. That is why the Korthak chose them." "So?" asked Hayes. "So bullies do not stop with one victim. If the Korthak conquer the Zalani worlds, they will have 12 more star systems full of resources and slaves. That will make them stronger. Strong enough to look for bigger targets." Brooks touched the screen. The red dot expanded, showing the trade routes that connected different parts of the galaxy. Eventually, they will find us. And when they do, they will be much more powerful than they are now. The room was quiet. Everyone understood what Brooks was saying. It was better to fight the Korthak now, while they were busy with the Zolani, than to wait for them to come to Earth. But General Hayes was not convinced. "Admiral, even if you are right, why should we fight? Why not send medical supplies and food? Help the Zolani refugees, but avoid getting into a war." Commander Thompson spoke up. "General, I have been listening to their messages. The Zolani are not looking for medical supplies. They are looking for someone to save them. Their entire civilization is about to be destroyed." Admiral Brooks nodded. "We have a choice to make. We can sit here on Earth, safe and comfortable, while innocent people die. Or we can do something about it." The vote was close. 7 people voted to send the fleet to help the Zolani. 5 voted to stay out of the conflict. Admiral Brooks had the final decision, and he chose to act. Within 6 hours, orders went out to every human military base in the solar system. The largest fleet in Earth's history would be assembled and sent to Zolani space. Admiral Susan Carter was chosen to command the fleet. She was 45 years old and had never lost a battle. Her flagship would be the UES Retribution, the newest and most powerful ship in Earth's Navy. Carter stood on the bridge of her ship and watched the other vessels take their positions. 47 warships floated in the darkness around her. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and support ships. Each one carried hundreds of crew members who had volunteered for this mission. "Admiral," said her communications officer, Lieutenant Jim Parker. "All ships report ready." Carter nodded. "Send a message to the Zolani. Tell them help is coming." The message was simple. "This is Admiral Susan Carter of the United Earth Fleet. We have received your distress call and are coming to help you. Stay strong. We will be there soon." Back on Verdania, Captain Ryan Martinez received the message while hiding in a damaged building. Half of his ship's crew was dead. The Korthak had found their hiding place and attacked with ground troops. But the message from the humans gave him hope. He shared the news with Elder Counselor Zethera, who was still alive in her underground bunker. She cried when she heard it. For the first time in weeks, she believed her people might survive. "Tell me about these humans," she asked Ryan. "I do not know much," he replied. "They are a young species. They have only been in space for about 50 years. But their message sounds confident. They promise to help us." Zethera smiled. "They must be a peaceful people, like us. Perhaps they are sending medical ships and food supplies. Or maybe they have defensive technology that can protect our cities." Neither Ryan nor Zethera could imagine what was really coming. Meanwhile, War Leader Thekmor had also intercepted the human message. He was not worried. His scouts had reported that humans were a small, weak species from a planet with too much water. They had only a few dozen ships. "Let them come," he told his officers. "We will crush these humans along with the plant-eaters. It will be good practice for my new recruits." Thekmor ordered his fleet to continue the attack on Verdania. The humans would not arrive for several days. By then, the Zolani capital would be in ruins and their government would be destroyed. As the human fleet jumped into hyperspace, each ship carried something the galaxy had never seen before. They were not carrying medical supplies or food. They were carrying weapons designed by a species that had spent millions of years learning how to kill. Earth was not a gentle world like Verdania. It was a planet of storms and earthquakes, ice ages and meteor impacts. The animals that survived on Earth were the ones that could fight. Humans were the most successful predators Earth had ever produced. The Korthak were about to learn what that meant. Admiral Carter stood on her bridge and watched the stars stretch into lines as her ships entered hyperspace. She thought about the Zolani message, with its desperate plea for help. The Zolani expected aid. They expected medicine and supplies and maybe some defensive technology. They were going to get something very different. They were going to get a Deathworlder fleet. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Verdania system like a pack of wolves smelling blood. Admiral Susan Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution and studied the tactical display. Red dots showed Korthak ships scattered throughout the system. Blue dots marked the few surviving Zolani vessels, hiding behind asteroids and damaged space stations. "Sensor report," Carter ordered. Lieutenant Commander Bob Davis worked at his station with quick, precise movements. 43 Korthak warships detected, Admiral. They are spread out across the system, probably hunting the remaining Zolani ships. Ground forces. Heavy Korthak presence on Verdania. Multiple landing sites. The planet's surface shows extensive damage from orbital bombardment. Carter's jaw tightened. The Korthak had been busy while the human fleet was traveling through hyperspace. Whole cities had been turned into smoking craters. "Admiral," said Communications Officer Jim Parker, "we are receiving a transmission from a Zolani ship. They want to talk." "Put them through." The main screen flickered, and Captain Ryan Martinez's face appeared. He looked tired and scared. Behind him, sparks flew from damaged equipment on his ship's bridge. "Admiral Carter," Ryan said, his voice shaking with relief. "Thank you for coming. We did not think anyone would answer our call for help." "We are here now, Captain," Carter replied. "What is your current situation?" "Bad. Very bad. The Korthak have destroyed our orbital defenses and landed troops on all our major worlds. Our fleet is almost gone. We have maybe 6 ships left that can still fight." Carter nodded. "Captain, I need you to do something for me. Get all your remaining ships to minimum safe distance from the combat zone. We are about to engage the enemy." Ryan looked confused. "Admiral, do you have defensive technology that can protect our cities? Or perhaps medical supplies for our wounded?" Carter's expression did not change. "Captain, we have brought the most effective humanitarian aid that Earth can provide. Now please move your ships to safety." Ryan wanted to ask more questions, but something in Carter's voice told him to obey. He gave the order to his remaining ships to retreat to the outer system. Carter turned to her tactical officer. "Commander West, do we have firing solutions on all enemy vessels?" Commander Jack West smiled. He had been waiting for this moment since they left Earth. "Yes, Admiral. All targets are locked." "Very good. Signal the fleet. Weapons free. Engage at will." What happened next changed the galaxy forever. The human ships did not try to communicate with the Korthak. They did not demand surrender or offer to negotiate. They simply opened fire with everything they had. 36 Korthak ships vanished in the first 10 seconds. The humans used weapons the galaxy had never seen before. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speed. Each projectile carried the energy of a small nuclear bomb. They punched through Korthak armor like paper. Nuclear missiles followed, hundreds of them, each one guided by advanced computers that could predict exactly where an enemy ship would be. The Korthak tried to shoot down the missiles, but there were too many. War leader Thekmor watched from his flagship as half his fleet died in the opening moments of the battle. He had fought many wars, but he had never seen anything like this. "Return fire!" he screamed at his weapons officers. "Kill these humans!" The surviving Korthak ships turned their plasma cannons on the human fleet. Bright green beams lashed out across space, striking the human ships. The plasma beams bounced off harmlessly. "Impossible," Thekmor whispered. Admiral Carter watched the Korthak weapons hit her ships without doing any damage. Human armor was made from materials that could withstand the heat of Earth's volcanoes. Plasma weapons designed for fighting civilized species were useless against ships built by Deathworlders. "All ships, advance and engage," Carter ordered. "Show them what happens when they threaten our friends." The human fleet moved forward like a school of sharks. Each ship was a masterpiece of military engineering, designed by a species that had been perfecting the art of war for thousands of years. Captain Danny Rodriguez commanded the destroyer Lightning Strike. His ship was smaller than the Korthak vessels, but it was much faster and more maneuverable. He guided his ship through the enemy formation, firing continuously. "Target destroyed," reported his weapons officer. "Moving to the next one." "Good shooting," Danny replied. "Let's see how many of these bugs we can swat." On the human carrier Eagle's wing, Captain Amy Foster launched her fighter squadrons. 200 small, fast ships poured out of the carrier's launch bays. Each fighter was piloted by a human who had trained for years to fly in combat. The Korthak had never seen anything like human fighter tactics. The small ships moved in perfect formation, attacking from multiple angles at once. When the Korthak tried to target one fighter, 5 others would hit them from behind. Commander Lisa Williams led Red Squadron in a diving attack on a Korthak cruiser. Her fighter's missiles struck the enemy ship's weapon systems, leaving it defenseless. Behind her, the rest of her squadron finished the job. In 20 minutes, the space battle was over. 43 Korthak ships had been reduced to floating wreckage. Not one human ship had been seriously damaged. But Admiral Carter was not finished. "Colonel Silva," she said into her communicator, "you are cleared for surface operations." Colonel Tony Silva had been waiting for those words. He commanded the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force, 2,000 of the toughest soldiers Earth had ever produced. They were trained to fight in any environment, from the frozen moons of Jupiter to the burning deserts of Mars. "Roger, Admiral. Beginning orbital insertion now." The Marines descended from orbit in armored drop pods that looked like falling stars. The Korthak ground forces tried to shoot them down, but the pods were too small and too fast to hit. Staff Sergeant Maria Gonzalez hit the ground running. Her power armor made her stronger and faster than any normal human. The rifle in her hands fired bullets that could punch through steel. The Korthak ground troops were large and strong, but they moved slowly. They were used to fighting enemies who would run away or try to hide. Humans did neither. Maria's squad moved through the Korthak positions like a force of nature. When a group of Korthak soldiers tried to ambush them, Maria threw a grenade that sent them flying. When enemy vehicles tried to block their path, her squad's anti-tank weapons turned them into scrap metal. The battle for Verdania's surface lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the remaining Korthak forces were either dead or running for their lives. Elder Counselor Zethera emerged from her underground bunker to find human Marines standing guard outside. One of them, a young woman with sergeant stripes on her armor, helped the elderly Zalani to her feet. "Ma'am, you are safe now," the sergeant said. "The area is secure." Zethera looked around in amazement. The city above her bunker was damaged but still standing. The Korthak vehicles that had been patrolling the streets were now smoking wreckage. "How?" she whispered. "How did you do this so quickly?" The Marine sergeant smiled. "Ma'am, we are humans. This is what we do." Later, Zethera spoke with Admiral Carter via video link. The human admiral was still on her ship, coordinating the cleanup operations. "Admiral," Zethera said, "we expected medical supplies and food. We expected refugee ships and defensive technology. We never expected this." Carter's expression was calm but not unkind. "Elder Counselor, humans have a saying, if you want to make peace, prepare for war. The best way to provide humanitarian aid is to eliminate the source of the humanitarian crisis." Zethera was quiet for a long moment. "Your species, you are warriors. Natural predators. How do your people live together without constant fighting?" Carter smiled. "We save our fighting for those who deserve it." The news of the battle spread across the galaxy at light speed. Every civilization with radio telescopes had watched the human fleet destroy the Korthak invasion force. The message was clear: humanity had arrived, and they were not like other species. The Korthak Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, suddenly found itself retreating to its home worlds. Their ships fled from human patrol routes. Their war leaders spoke of the humans in whispers, calling them the Deathbringers. Other species took notice too. The Altaran Confederation, which had ignored the Zalani's calls for help, suddenly wanted to establish trade relations with Earth. The Silicon Collective sent ambassadors offering technology exchanges. Even the mysterious Void Dwellers, who rarely spoke to anyone, sent a message to Admiral Carter: "We acknowledge your strength." But the humans were not interested in conquest or domination. They helped the Zalani rebuild their cities and then prepared to return to Earth. As Admiral Carter's fleet prepared to depart, Captain Ryan Martinez sent one final message: "Thank you. We will never forget what you have done for us." Carter's reply was simple: "That's what friends do for each other." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. When Deathworlders offer humanitarian aid, they don't just treat the symptoms. They cure the disease. Ryan found this hard to believe. Every species he had ever met was motivated by profit or power. But the humans seemed different. However, Carter continued, if you want to repay us, there is something you can do. Name it. Help us watch the galaxy. The Korthak were not the only hostile species out there. If you see other civilizations in trouble, let us know. We may not be able to help everyone, but we can try. This was something Ryan could understand. The Zilani had always been explorers and observers. Helping other species avoid what had happened to them would be a worthy mission. Agreed, he said. The agreement between Earth and the Zilani Republic became the foundation of what historians would later call the Terran Protection Pact. Within 6 months, 47 species had signed similar agreements. They would provide intelligence and early warning about threats, and in return, Earth would guarantee their security. Not everyone was happy about this new arrangement. War leader Thekmor sat in his command bunker on the Korthak homeworld of Nexus Prime and planned revenge. Half of his fleet was gone, destroyed by the humans in a series of running battles. The other half was hiding in the Outer Rim, afraid to show themselves. War leader, said his aide, we have received reports that 3 more colonies have surrendered to the humans. Thekmor's claws scraped against his armor in frustration. The mighty Korthak Empire, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was being dismantled by a species that most of the galaxy had never heard of 6 months ago. Gather the fleet, he ordered. All of it. Every ship that can still fight. War leader, our scouts report that the humans have only 47 ships. We still have over 200. Yes, Thekmor agreed. And this time, we will not underestimate them. This time, we will bring everything we have. The final battle was coming. But Admiral Carter was ready for it. Human intelligence had been tracking Korthak fleet movements for weeks. She knew exactly what Thekmor was planning. Let them come, she told her staff officers. It's time to end this war once and for all. The galaxy held its breath and waited. The first test of human military power had been impressive. But the real test was yet to come. When it was over, everyone would know that the age of galactic bullies was finished forever.